Thanks, Allison. Now let's turn our attention to today's business headlines. And for help with that, we're going to welcome in global business analyst Hillary Fordwich. Good morning, Hillary.
Pleasure to be with you, Alex.
All right, we have a lot to get to, so I want to run through as many topics as we can. But first, we're going to start with the markets, which were closed for the Juneteenth holiday. Stocks ended Friday mixed, wrapping up the roughest week for Wall Street since 2020. But this morning, futures are actually surging ahead of the opening bell. So, Hillary, what's sparking this potential rebound?
Well, rebound, really, it's just a little blip. And I would say you've always got to look at the fundamentals, look at the marketplace. If we had just heard from the Biden administration an about face, like Clinton did and like others did in a terrible downturn, if we had heard, right, taxes will be lowered, regulations will be eliminated, I would have had more hope. But when you offer more taxes, you don't have any tax cuts, and when you have regulations that are staying in place, you aren't going to get any fundamental changes. So look at the fundamentals. There's been no changes. This was just a little bit of hope. I don't think it's going to prevent the recession, and I think we're still in a downward trajectory.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk gas prices, which are slowly trickling down. President Biden says he hopes to have an answer by the end of this week on his gas tax holiday. So just how much will this actually help Americans at the pump?
Well, I mean, 18 cents is 18 cents, Alex. And I mean, all of us probably would like 18 cents, but it's not going to make, again, a huge fundamental difference. There's also this hope of him going to Saudi Arabia. Well, I don't know how many people think the Saudi Arabians have ever been our friends. They're not. It's a silly trip. Why? Not only the carbon emissions of his trip, but also think about it. It's dirtier oil. So he's actually being a hypocrite against his very green policies. So how much difference is it going to make? Well, something is always better than nothing, but it's not going to change the pain that Americans are feeling at the pump.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the president also said that he is nearing a decision on student loan relief. Now, will this help or actually hurt the economy? Of course, we can appreciate taking that debt off some American shoulders. But Hillary, honestly, who is footing the bill for this? I mean, in the end, won't it just be taxpayers being the ones paying for this?
Oh, Alex, you're absolutely right. Look, nothing is for free. Margaret Thatcher always said there's no such thing as a free lunch. So if you give these, in quotes, free student loans, wait a second, what does that mean to all the diligent Americans who are sensible and fiscally conservative, who scrimped and saved, actually like I did and a lot of Americans did, to put their kids through school? We didn't take out student loans. What about those Americans that couldn't even afford to go to college? So you're actually being very, very selective. You're penalizing those that scrimped and saved. You're penalizing those that actually did pay off their student loans, and you're penalizing those Americans that couldn't afford to go to college. So this is just a voter ploy. Pick a little select group, make them happy, do this, but yes, the taxpayers are footing the bill. And why should we, taxpayers that paid for our kids' education, or those that did, why should they pay double? That's what this is about, paying double for those that were sensible. That's not a very good long-term policy. It's a quick fix, and it's basically buying a few votes. I don't think see that being very popular at the voting booth this November.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's no such thing as a free lunch, like you said. All right, let's talk a little Elon Musk. He's back in the news, this time for firing 5 of his SpaceX employees. Many are actually applauding this move. Why?
Well, I think what it does, Alex, is it sends a message. It sends a message saying, look, do we have freedom of speech in our great nation? Sure we do, but we don't have freedom of speech in your own workplace to then pick and choose and select. It's basically just the flavor of the day, right? Flavor of the month. At this point, they want this person to be protected or that person to be protected. I think this is a very good message from corporate America. Corporate America is basically saying, stop whining, get on, do your job. And by the way, those issues aren't as important as producing, and we need to produce more things, not have people producing more whining. I like the message. I think the message that Elon Musk is sending is a sensible one for this generation to adhere to.
Finally, Hillary, we got about 30 seconds left, but before you leave, I did want to talk about this Nobel Peace Prize that was auctioned off to raise money for Ukrainian children refugees, and it sold for a record amount last night. Tell us a little bit about this.
Oh, yes, Dmitry. I mean, he is Muratov. He is a Russian journalist. He actually had a publication that was, more freedom of speech because he was critical, actually, of the current administration there in Russia. And the Gazette was viewed as far more independent. Of course, in March, when they instituted in Russia all the strict regulations, he shut down. So what is he doing? He actually took a step back and thought, what can we do to really help this humanitarian crisis? What is this sale about? I think, Alex, it's a brilliant move. Why? We're reporting on it. We're talking about it because Putin has bet that the Western media and the West, he can outweight them. Why? Because the Ukrainian issues have gone off the headlines. What does this sale indicate? This sale has indicated that the West has their attention focused on this massive sale, and that massive sale has been over 100 million, and that is the greatest sale in history compared to the 4 million that the former one sold for. What does it show? The West does care, and this money will go directly to UNICEF and the humanitarian crisis to help those refugees.
Absolutely. I do want to share some big news this morning. Kellogg will split into 3 independent companies. We'll actually be getting into that tomorrow. But Hillary Fordwich, I really want to thank you for your time this morning.
Pleasure, Alex.
Rob, Allison.